Hello and welcome to a casual episode of Therapy and Panels. I've personally never been a big manga reader. Not that I think any of it's bad or anything, don't get me wrong, it's just, at least back in the day when I was a kid, unlike with nowadays, with comic book stuff, it's either you could either watch a movie or anime about the show. I would rather just do that when it came to the manga. And to be honest, certain manga stuff kind of freaked me out. But today's session, I think I found something that coincides with an interest of mine. Spider-Man.
Created by Yusuke Ozawa and supervised by Marvel Comics, the series was created to explore the idea of what happens if Peter Parker decided to actually quit being Spider-Man due to the strain it has on his personal life.
So, without further ado, let's take a look at Spider-Man Fake Red Chapter 1.
Outside of the beautiful artwork in the Spider-Man costume that to me feels like they combined the classic outfit with the one from the PlayStation video games, this cover is not very dynamic. Spider-Man getting ready to fire another web off this building as we see in the reflection of the building. Some of the villains we will see in this manga, like Scorpion and Venom. Like I said, it's not, outside of just it being beautifully drawn, nothing too special. The story begins with a police car chase in New York City. The criminals try to speed up and are about to hit an old lady crossing the street. Before she gets flattened into a pancake, Spidey jumps in front of her just in time.
How many points do you think it would be to hit a superhero in the middle of the road?
Spider-Man webs up their path using the nearby buildings, and the criminals drive full speed into the web barrier, flipping upside down like a bad parking job. Spidey helps the old lady pick up her dropped groceries.
She is, however, upset with him that he wasn't able to save her coupon book.
He swings off as nearby civilians cheer for him. The old lady, now properly labeled as the webbed granny on social media, is interviewed on the local news. We are then introduced to Yu Onome, apologies for the mispronunciation, as he is leaving his home. His dad calls for him to say to not be late for school, but being the rebel that this kid apparently is, he skips school to go rock climbing.
Because math class doesn't give him the adrenaline that mountain climbing does. As he climbs, Hugh reflects on his life as an outcast. He idolizes Spider-Man and while on a break likes a photo of him on Instagram. Camera really does add 10 pounds. While heading home, he passes an alleyway and sees his classmate Toby being bullied by some other students. He hesitates until looking at the picture of Spider-Man on his phone again. Times like this, you wonder, what would Spider-Man do? Besides make a bad pun and web their pants to the wall. Yu decides to step up, but only after Toby is punched in the face. The bullies leave and Yu apologizes to him, but Toby shrugs it off, not expecting him to have done anything anyway. Ouch. I think that hurt more than the bullies. Yu finds Toby's ID on the ground, and as he picks it up, also discovers something interesting in the nearby trash can. Spider-Man's outfit. Taking it back home in his room, he puts on the mask and takes a selfie, making a goofy web gesture. Really should have watched this before putting it on. Ugh. He then decides to put on the whole suit, and pressing a button on the glove, becomes shocked as a web line fires out, hitting his closet door. He panics and accidentally rips his closet door off, and his dad hears the commotion, asking what's going on outside his bedroom door. Nothing, Dad. Just found a superhero suit in the dumpster and accidentally broke my closet using the webs it's installed in it. Take your meds. I guess Dad, not wanting to deal with it, just walks away. Realizing he can't exactly Google how to return a super suit, he gets desperate and decides to dress in the suit and pose on a rooftop. to get Spidey's attention, but he gets noticed by some civilians. Look, it's Spider-Man, but he's shorter. The crowd spots a building on fire in the distance and urge you to act. However, remembering that he is just a glorified cosplayer with glue guns, he decides to run down a fire escape, hoping to lose the crowd, only to be noticed by more. He then decides to go out to the fire, and a woman calls for him to save her child on the 3rd floor. I think I just peed myself. Good thing these aren't my pants. He climbs up the building, trembling, and finds the child hiding in a bathtub, and carries him off as the fire rages on. He starts to lose consciousness, but after having flashbacks about Toby from earlier, he decides to push forward, trying to climb down the building using a web line until the railing it was attached to breaks. Lucky for him, however, the citizens down below found a trampoline net somewhere and stretched it out beneath him, allowing him to bounce safely to the ground. The boy returns to his mom as she thanks Spider-Man, and Yu flees before the firemen arrive. 5 days later, while reading the paper about his heroics, he smiles, proud of what he did, but still can't help but wonder what happened to the real Spider-Man. It is then we cut to somewhere in the city where it seems that Peter Parker is currently dealing with the return of a very clingy ex, ending the issue. And that was the first chapter of Spider-Man Fake Red, and from my diagnosis, this was better than I thought it would be. The art is beautifully made, and outside of the basic plot, it holds up well and goes for the teachings that the Spider-Verse movies give about anyone can be Spider-Man. The only complaint I have is that they should have not given us an idea of what happened with Peter. That should have been something that you and maybe others along the way had to figure out as the storyline progresses, and we find out, like, at the end of the series or something like that. That's just my opinion. And that is the end of today's session of Therapy and Panels on Casual Day. If you liked the video, please be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I am the Super Guru signing off.